there, welcome to TomGirl. This is episode 46, and we're going to get you ready for some epic summer vacations. I have adventure lover Kelsey Snyder. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You got me so ready to go on a trip. I tell you, I'm so excited. Hey guys, welcome to TomGirl. I'm your host, JJ Jurgens. You can follow me at TomGirl TV, and I have an epic guest here today, Kelsey. Hey Kelsey, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Where can everybody follow you on social media?
You can follow me at Where I've Wandered on Instagram.
And you guys are going to want to follow her Instagram account because you have amazing pictures on there. So for this fun episode, you're just going to come and kind of tell us some of your favorite spots that you've been to and, you know, what you've learned through your travels. So I know we pulled a bunch of photos from your great account. So yeah, can't wait to hear all about them. Well, first before we get into your photos, I just want to start talking to you about how you got the adventure bug. Were you your family big adventure people growing up? Or?
I'd say like my dad was a rock climber growing up, so we were like his little like playthings almost. Like I have memories of being in Yosemite when I was 5, and my dad's like wrapped a rope around us and is pulling us up, and we're too young to know it's dangerous or anything.
You're like,
and like, yeah, like I'd say ever since then, I just love like seeing new places, you know? So my dad definitely inspired me. Like all of my sisters, you know, have moved on from California where we grew up. Like we've all gone off to different places.
Are they all big adventurers too?
You know, in like some ways, yeah. I think me and my little sister have like stuck with it in our adult life. Like my little sister more so is like this little vagabond doing like seasonal work in Alaska. She wants to go to Hawaii like in the winter. She's so cool. But yeah, like I think how I started this blog, I was starting to get the ideas when I was living in London, you know. So I was getting a grad degree in London, and whether it was like the weather or just being super far away from family, I was like definitely dealing with depression. And I remember like reading something like, you know, an hour of walking is equivalent to like an hour of therapy. And so I just started walking everywhere in London for like, you know, a mile to 10 miles, you know, and when you like wander, which is why like wander came up, when you're like walking places, you really like get to see like these details in a city that you wouldn't really get to see if you're like on a train or a car, like just going to the next place. So yeah, like, you know, there was like this little duck pond behind my flat in London, and it's not on any tourist blog or anything. It's like a pond with like a pathway and ducks flock to it. And I just remember like loving that place and, you know, wanting to like share that. And even though I was alone, it was like a meaningful place to me. So I just wanted to like share these experiences and then kind of like inspire other people to like collect their own places. And share with them. So
do you remember when Where I've Wandered that day where you're like, oh, fine, because I know sometimes it takes people a while to find their name or their brand.
You know, Where I Wandered, I came up with that probably like 4 years later. It was more like documenting. It was like this slow and steady like kind of conception. And I remember I discovered like travel bloggers and blogging when I moved to LA. I was like, oh, this is a real job that people can have. This is kind of amazing. And so I was following this travel blogger who's like this really cute girl from Australia. Her name's Brooke Soward. Her Instagram is World of Wanderlust. She's really cool. But she kind of inspired me to like actually create a blog. But, you know, I had been creating these like lists for people. You know, I'm from Santa Barbara, and every friend from LA who's gone to Santa Barbara has asked me to put together a list. So I'd already been creating these like lists and experiences for people on the side, just from, you know, London and Santa Barbara and even Boston, where I went to college. So coming up with the blog was just sort of a way to like taking the pictures and like my ideas into an actual readable format. So yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and show some of them, and we can talk about like, stories that you've learned along the way through them. So let's go ahead with your first photo.
Yeah. So my first photo is of Joshua Tree at the Kala Cactus Farm at sunset. It's gorgeous. And this is probably like my current favorite photo ever right now because it's beautiful. And I like that I'm sort of in the background, like behind it, because like to me, like I know this is getting to the minutia of like how you set up a photo, but when your like back is not like, when your back is facing away from the camera, it's almost like you're bringing people in to experience it with you, as opposed to when you're facing it, it's like, look at me, I'm in this place. But yeah, this shot, like when I went to Joshua Tree, I like had never been there before, even though I love national parks and I'm like already 30 and my whole family's gone for some reason. But I was researching all of the things to do at Joshua Tree, and this stood out as like the one place I had to go, the Cala Cactus Farm, and I knew I had to go at sunset. So yeah.
So you were telling me you like to kind of research it all, but but not set out a big plan for yourself.
Yeah. So like my style of planning a trip is to research everything. Like I just want to know what I can do in the space that I'm in, and what there is to do, and what other people have done. And you know, if I'm in the middle of the desert with no service, like I want to at least know, like, oh, there's something up here I know that's cool. But I don't like structuring everything in a trip. That just leads to chaos, and you're always gonna like miss your time to plan and whatever. But yeah, this Cala Cactus Farm at sunset was like the #1 thing that I had to do that day, and everything else was just like having fun, exploring the different places. And I think like even one of the places, Skull Rock, I didn't even get to see, but we found some like amazing like moon rock kind of structures on the side of it, and we got lost on there actually, and that was even a better like place to see.
Oh yeah, getting lost always happens to like bring out magic.
Yeah, totally.
All right, we'll move to the next one.
So the next one was my first solo trip to Alaska, or my first solo traveling trip. And I will say the Alaska trip kind of came out because I'm kind of an opportunist traveler. My little sister was stationed in Alaska with this like backpacking company, and I was like, I don't know if she's ever gonna do this job again. Like, I have to go to Alaska. Like, this is like my one shot. So I went, and she was working. I ended up spending half the trip alone. But this shot, we went and took a Kenai Fjords boat tour. It was like 8 hours. With the intention to see orca whales, which we did, and it was amazing. But this was of this like beautiful, like massive rock structure in the ocean, and I just it was kind of a misty day, and I just loved this shot and this little rock, and it almost was like pretty much resembled the whole like magnitude and isolation that like Alaska kind of is. So yeah, that turned out really well.
Yeah, and how about you? What did you learn traveling, taking trips for alone, got by yourself? Because I know some people are scared to do that or take that step.
I will say I played the Harry Potter audiobook and listened to like 5 different books that whole time. But it was really rewarding. Like I sort of pushed myself into like being okay alone. And I went this summer, so it was always daylight, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I ended up, I was in Homer, and I took like just this little dinghy out to a big island that's also a park, and went on I think it was like 4 or 5 hour hike by myself to a glacier, and that was like really cool. And I actually met this other solo hiker girl around my age too. And we met at different points, and she was really nice and friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like super rewarding, even though at first I was like, I don't know if I can go to an island where bears are by myself.
Yeah. No, that's great. That takes some, strength and courage. But I think I know when I've traveled alone, I actually really enjoy it, you know, because I think you get to spend some time with yourself and just like, just, I don't know, and with your thoughts. And I feel like you always are kind of more open to, like, lots of times when you travel with other people, you're just in your group or you just talk to your group. Every time I feel like I travel, by myself,
Plus, you're
meet
not
people
beholden to like other people's schedules.
That's probably really one of the reasons
so you
why
can
I
like
like
do
it.
everything you want to do.
For however long you want to do. If you want to stay somewhere longer, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, next up.
So this next picture I am sharing because it's like strangely my most liked photo on my whole account. And it was just like taken on an iPhone. It's me sitting on the Micheltorena stairs in Silver Lake. And I like live in Silver Lake, so I was just on a walk at like night or day or whatever. And yeah, we just snapped it because the Micheltorena stairs are kind of this like iconic spot in Silver Lake. And I think that really resonates with people, and it kind of embodies like what Where I've Wandered is about, you know? It's like we're wandering around our own backyards, you know? And there's like really cool things around. You just sort of have to look.
Right there. You don't have to travel far away from
Right, you
them.
don't have to go to halfway around the world to see something interesting.
So you said this one resonated a lot. What are you finding are good pictures that like either that seem to get a good response on Instagram for you?
You know, it's definitely things like this. Some of the landscape shots I feel like haven't ever gotten like as much like likes as they deserve, because like some of my landscape shots I was like so happy about that moment. But I think when like I sort of put myself in an environment that's sort of like sharing something, people really like that. And also trying to like be relaxed and happy and positive or quirky and just like, you know, you're basically sharing your personal experience, and like everyone wants to be able to relate to something like that.
So for people on the podcast, like this one has a big bright red like heart and then colorful steps, and she's sitting in the middle of the steps. It's friendly. It's a happy photo, you know. It makes you feel good, positive.
And it's like so accessible. Like anyone can go to these stairs, you know.
And I had no idea. You know, I got to say I don't go to Silver Lake that often, and there used to be a restaurant I love there that I used to go to. And I haven't been there for a long time, but now I might have to go find these steps.
Oh my God, there's a bunch of other the staircases of Silver Lake all of them are like very popular, and a lot of them have artists actually going and painting stuff on them. So like the Swan Stairs are another one where a local artist went and painted this like beautiful mural on it. So yeah, it's like there's these little things that you can go see. All right, the next one. I love this photo. I was on my way to Mammoth, and of course I'm wearing a Made for the Mountains sweatshirt, which was kind of perfect. But it was a pit stop at a gas station in Lone Pine. And Lone Pine is like this very small, like almost old Western town on the way, but the backdrop is the Sierras, and they're gorgeous. Of course, there's like a little farm right next to the gas station with like a goat and stuff. But, you know, like the whole phrase, stop and smell the roses, like I sort of live by that because there is so many cool things. You just have to look. Yeah. And this is like one of the cooler parts of the trip, actually. Yeah, those are things that are magical moments when you don't plan and then you do see stuff like that. Yeah. Exactly. It's beautiful. So the next shot is also from that same Mammoth trip. It was actually like very warm for November, but instead of snowboarding, we decided to go to find one of the hot springs, the natural hot springs around the area. And of course, like we're driving in the middle of nowhere with no service on like unpaved roads. And like, I feel like I've spent most of my life like not pushing myself outside of a comfort zone because it's like too hard. And I really don't like, well, I shouldn't say that. I've always had a hard time adjusting to like new experiences. But I found as I'm getting older and with traveling, like I'm almost pushing myself further outside my comfort zone. And like, yes, being nowhere in the middle or in the middle of nowhere without service is like kind of terrifying to me sometimes because I like to know where I am, but it wasn't really to anyone else. Like finding these pools probably isn't that big of a deal. But I love this shot because there's nothing around except this like little wooden walkway that's like probably a quarter of a mile out to where it's Pulky's pool is, and it's like a 6-seater kind of hot tub that's got like algae in it, but yeah, I loved it. It was like a really cool experience, and there were other people who like wouldn't go into the algae water and were just like screw it. Whatever. We'll be all right. Yeah.
What are maybe some other things that travel has taught you?
Oh gosh, to like, it sounds super LA, to be grateful and to like really, really appreciate everything. Like, when you travel, especially to different places that like are such different cultures, you kind of just realize we're all people on this earth, you know? there are some things that are so similar and human nature, and then there are some things that, you know, are cultural and weird, but like, why not? You know, I went stripped fully naked at an Austrian spa because you have to go naked. It's like one of their rules, and like whatever, everyone else is doing it, and it's like totally, it's not sexualized. It's just you're having a spa.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I just got back from Austin. I'll show a couple pictures later, but the last time I went there, I did the same thing. They have Hippie Hollow there, so it's a nudist colony, and I was like, you know what, I gotta do it, you know. So I went, and it was definitely different for me because I don't normally walk around with no clothing, but I'm a fan of being naked, you know. So I was like, I have to dip into this, you know,
and
into this
like,
water, and just freeze you up.
Changing your mindset. Like, we're so stuck in ways that, like, you know, this is how what people do, and this is like how people are, but that's just because someone said that a long time ago, you know.
Well, and I think too, like in our day to day, we get so just in our work routine, or you know, it's just something about when you finally travel. I feel like you are willing to just take more chances and take more risks and let loose and like have a more fun. Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of the things.
Let's go ahead and do this one.
This next shot, oh God, this is like one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. Like I'm not a photographer by any means, but like this one, I feel like, you know,
you love.
I was just at Santa Monica Beach with my Minnesota friends who were visiting me. And I was just looking at I always take pictures of lifeguard towers for some reason. Don't know why. But there is this little kid walking up to the lifeguard, and like the seagulls are behind them. And I just thought it was like so cute and almost cinematic to have like this little moment captured. And you know, I sort of like witnessed their moment, and I don't even know, you know, what the kid was going up to him. But it's once again appreciating these small moments in time that, you know, otherwise would be missed. Like that's the whole point of where I've wandered.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, the next shot.
Oh, I love this one.
This is like also one of my favorite photos. So I was in a very small Italian city. It was more like a village actually, called Sirmione, and it was right on this massive lake right by the Alps, like at the base of them. And it was like a totally rainy day. And, you know, like some people, like, you know, the phrase, it rained on your vacation.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Like, rainy days can be so beautiful. Like, and this lake, we walked out to the end of the pier, was so perfect. Even, like, the gray, like, lighting almost accentuates that.
Yeah.
So I was just, like, trying to have fun and, like, show positivity. Granted, like, I don't have a problem with rainy days, but I think this picture really captures, like, having fun in everything that you do, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
This photo, I was in Mexico for the first time, and I still to this day love that spot. It was a coworker who like recommended. It was like a surf hostel in like a very like semi-remote place south of Ensenada, like that's not getting very many tourists, you know. And this was like the end of the day. What you can't see, thankfully, is me like shoveling the chips and salsa into my mouth. But like we literally camped on like this cliff above the ocean at a surf hostel, you know, that was unpaved roads to get to, and it was still probably better than, you know, the winery I stayed at later that trip.
Do you know the name of the hostel for anyone that might want to?
Yes, it's called Coyote Cal's, and I'm sorry, Eric Gilbert, for blowing up your spot. But yeah, Coyote Cal's in Arandira. It's so gorgeous. Like going down to Mexico, you know, everyone warned me because I'd never been, you know, like safety and the dangers and all that stuff. And you kind of have to go in to all your travels with like being prepared for what dangers are there, but not being too scared to like not go. You know, like there are parts of Mexico that are dangerous, and there are things that you can't do in Mexico, like, you know, try to traffic drugs places because the federales will stop you. And you know, the federales aren't like some experiences where people have had with like crooked police trying to get your money. They really do care about their jobs. And you know, you sit there, they ask you where you're going, where you've been, and why you're there, and then they let you go on your way. So Yeah. That was a great trip. This picture is the artsy picture of a Roman column in Milan. So this was the Colonne di San Lorenzo. And I'm sharing this because it's like a perspective shot going up the column to the very top. And it's kind of like into how I'm trying to paint like almost a thesis or like a whole project of what my Instagram is. You know, it's not every photo's isolated. It's like this photo, I want to share something different. And in this case, it was more like trying to show perspective, you know, like that day, like truth be told, that day was so bright, you know, you couldn't get a good wide shot of the columns, but these are real Roman columns that have survived in Milan. And, you know, it's like you want to capture how beautiful they are. And just looking up and getting close and doing a perspective shot, you can actually see the grooves of the column.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like where you actually get to feel how old they are.
Right. You get a better sense than the wide
shot of like something that you've seen pictures
over,
or replicas over and over again.
Yeah, that's great.
So I love that one.
One thing I want to talk to you about is so part of your blog is how you do all this and you travel and you see these places, but you also are trying to do it and live this life while maintaining a full-time job. And so I do want to talk about, because I know you through your full-time job, so let's talk about a little your day job. You're post-production supervisor for CBS. So talk about that job a little bit.
My we make promos and I sit in a room and I manage color correction bays and audio bays, and we put together promos for CBS, which is really cool. It's also in a windowless office, which is probably why I need to travel so much.
Exactly, because we're in the basement. So you're directing voiceover sessions and you're putting marketing on spots, and
which is actually probably lended itself for how I'm trying to like market myself. I mean, that's what every Instagram like thing is. It's just a way to market who you are and your brand and what you are. I've learned a lot of color correcting skills from that too, probably.
So how do you try to balance getting on these trips, working, and then, you know, also probably you have to spend time with your family at some time during your vacation days?
Well, probably just like being busy all the time. I take every 3-day weekends are every opportunity to go somewhere. And usually it's like road trips, or, you know, I've done Portland in a 3-day weekend, which is kind of ambitious. But yeah, it's just like there are some people at work who you know, don't use their vacation days and they've got extra and they've been forced to take their vacation days. And I look at them, I'm like, that would never happen to me. Can
I have yours?
I've used my vacation days. I also do, to even get more vacation days, I take every opportunity I can at weekend work. So I can get comp days that I can take later. And in the last couple years, I've been able to get at least another full week of comp days that I had worked in weekends. So. And as for my family, I've got a sister in Buffalo, New York, a sister in Massachusetts. My dad lives in Rhode Island. My other sister splits her time between Alaska and Portland right now. So visiting family is almost like a destination for me. Yeah. I like plan vacations. Well, I've had to too, with like graduations and babies and weddings. But like I said, I'm an opportunist traveler. So I just went to a wedding in Columbus for my friend. And most people think Ohio, but I'm like, no, like the Main Street, High Street, there's so many great shops and cool things to see. It's like you just have to be open-minded and use every chance you can to see something new. Yeah,
and take advantage of even the smallest towns have so many things that are interesting or fun places to see. So you talk about the marketing a little bit. What have you learned, like maybe using some of your CVS marketing skills with the Instagram, and what might work for people out there who want to go ahead and do things like you, like blogging and getting big on Instagram?
I would say, from the marketing perspective, you definitely like learn what sells, and so you just have to constantly think about your brand and specific like skills. Like thankfully with announcing and directing reads, like that doesn't hugely come into play, but the color correction, you can see how people transform shots that would otherwise look like nothing, and then putting on a really good color editing scheme or filter could really make these shots stand up. Like I'm editing Singapore photos that I have right now. There were like shots of the city that like I was like, oh, why did I take a shot of that? That looks ridiculous and uninteresting. But then I found this. I use Lightroom to color, and I use Visco, just so you guys want to know. And in Lightroom, it's like I found a really good palette or it's like I create my own presets essentially. So I've created a preset, and it's made some of my Singapore pictures look amazing, and some of the ones that were boring but now pop and stand out, and you can see things like so.
Yeah. What cameras do you shoot on?
My iPhone 8. I also have an Olympus. It's like I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'm gonna look at my notes here. It's a Pen EPL6, but more recently I've been using my boyfriend's Sony A7R3, which is a really nice camera.
He was telling me about that because I saw your last trip, and I'm like, you guys, some great photos. He's like, oh, I got this new camera. It's so good.
I will say, my boyfriend loves photography too, so he's really elevated my Instagram game just by taking really good photos. Sometimes we fight over the photos of which one we can post.
I thought of that too when I see your stuff. I'm like, that's great. She's like got it built in, like, you know, almost like people would pay to have a photographer to go with their on their trips. I'm like, good choice, Kelsey. Good choice.
It's pretty convenient. Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other gear? Any other specifics for tricks or?
No, I mean, like, when I am shooting photos, I'm more of the documentarist kind of style. Like, I just take photos of everything and anything, and just to capture, like, to me, it's like a numbers game. Like, you take photos, 1,000 photos, there's got to be at least 5 that are good. He's definitely more into experimenting with different stuff, like portraits and setting up his shots. Like, we are still kind of trying to figure and experiment with that. So, like, on the horizon of what we want to do is astrophotography, and you need to, like, we eventually are going to go to Joshua Tree and, like, camp in the middle, and then, like, set the camera up and do, like, astrophotography, and we've never done it, but, you know, we're just trying, because that's what you do to travel and to take pictures and all this. If you want to, like, embark on like trying to be on Instagram and showing this, you just have to do it. You just have to keep doing it. And there are so many times when, like, I don't call myself a blogger because I have a full-time job, and I have a hard time keeping up with, like, blogging and writing on top of that. But, like, it's just about doing it. Like, I don't want to give this up because it genuinely makes me happy, you know?
Totally get that. I know, I do. Like, with the same thing with TomGirl. Like, I started as a blog, and it is so hard because I have the same job at CBS as well. And it, it's like sometimes, and I would find myself getting frustrated sometimes. I think other bloggers and people out there have that too, where it's like you just feel like, oh, you have these goals for yourself, and you're trying to get the content out and do it. And then finally, when you just kind of let go, you know, it's like you know, it'll all start coming when it can, you know, come. But and it's starting to take the fun out of it a little bit. You know what I mean? If you're so pressured on yourself.
Especially, we just came off like a busy month, and where we weren't even going anywhere. It's like you just like find. I was like, oh, I'll just like post photos every day from like previous trips, and it's so funny because like my most liked photo was one of those times. It was like retroactively posting a photo, trying to be like, it's Wednesday, like let's get inspiration. It's Wanderlust Wednesday, you know, and people I think really like that kind of stuff. But yeah, you just have to sort of keep grinding even when you don't feel motivated.
Yeah, for sure. And even like I had a couple pictures in there I just went on a trip for Austin. I'll show you guys this real quick. And this was a good experience for me too, because I was actually going to do an interview while I was out there, and at last minute that interview had to go out of town for work. So I was like, you know, so part of me was like, oh, but I needed to post for Tom. And I'm like, no, this is the universe just telling me I just need to enjoy. I'm in this gorgeous lake house sitting out here. So I just sat there and like enjoyed, you know, the view that I had. We can roll through these, and just like went on this was the Greenbelt hike along Barton Springs. It's like a 7.5 mile hike. There's people like rock climbing. It was just getting so lost in the middle of and it was just like, so it's things like that too. When you have a plan and it goes wrong, just being willing to like, okay, like going into Barton Springs here and just like jumping in after it's 98 degrees out, and just like really enjoying and meeting people and having fun.
Plus, you inspired me to put Barton Springs on my bucket list.
Oh, you have to put this whole Austin. I mean,
Totally.
Rainy Street was amazing. Met the most amazing people on Rainy Street playing giant Jenga games, and it was all stuff that was not anything that I had thought I planned when I got there, and just like it was just so much fun, and
those can be the best trips, just going with it.
yeah, just like,
wandering.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where I wandered that weekend. So real quick, I know. Let's just talk about. We can roll through the photos, but we'll just show some of the people that there's some great, because you posted this and I was like, oh, I love it, because I'm always looking for other cool, inspirational people to follow or to get ideas from.
It was hard for me to limit, because all I do is follow travel bloggers and photographers, and I love them. So this one in particular, I might butcher his name, so I apologize. Cedric de Cesson. He's from Sardinia, which is in Italy, but an island.
Okay, perfect. And I'll put these all up so you can, I'll list them so you don't have to. You can follow them.
Oh God, I love him. I'll try to keep it short. He's a drone photographer, and drone photography looks amazing, and yet he also experiments with he'll do the overshot perspective, and then the second shot is him holding a phone of the landscape and taking a picture, so it almost looks seamless. And
that's cool.
He's just so cool. And the colors, he has this whole color palette, which is pretty trendy right now in all bloggers or content creators, is to have a palette of what your whole Instagram looks like. And he really stays true to that beachy ocean, lifestyle, which I love. The next one, Donald James Boyd. He's based out of Iceland, and his shots are so incredible. Once again, about color palette, he uses high contrasting, almost kind of murky but vibrant. He's made a shot of Africa look like Iceland, which is so gorgeous. I love. Oh my God, he does a lot of shots of animals. Snow leopards and panthers and lions and elephants, and I love giraffes, so I chose that one. But it's just so incredible. The next one, Eric Rubens, he's a Southern California guy. He just all of his shots, he's very much a beach, salty life kind of guy. And he's a working photographer. He's got a long resume of clients that he's worked with. But he just gives you all the pains of jealousy on his outdoor adventurous lifestyle.
When you're stuck in the office, right? Yeah.
So yeah. Kate Rentz, I just discovered her recently. What I love about her is that she truly is an authentic outdoor adventurer. She's totally into solo traveling, and she is super open about being diagnosed with OCD, and she tells the story about how she goes into nature essentially, and that helps her cope. And that's basically why I started getting into this. Truly going out there and experiencing these nature and the world really helps you almost feel better in life and where you are.
Yeah, and versus maybe doing a bunch of the drugs that the drug companies want you to take, or more natural approach.
I'd rather go on a 10-mile walk around LA, concrete jungle, than have to go on antidepressants. Not that I'm against it, but just for me,
teach their own,
if that helps, that's what I'm gonna try to do first. Oh gosh, I love her. Renee Hanel is one of my woman crushes when it comes to travelers. She's gone from Iceland to Bali, and she is just so cool. She has these amazing shots. This one, she's in this ice cave wearing this vibrant red coat, and it's just stunning and gorgeous. And she basically does all the outdoor, active, adventurous stuff that I eventually want to do in life. But and here she is hanging off of
I've seen this one before. A cliff. Amazing. Yeah.
I think that cliff, I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't. Yes, thank you. Grampians, Australia.
Here you go.
Talking in the air. Grampians, Australia. like, who doesn't want to sit on the edge of a cliff looking at, like, how beautiful that country is? Oh, my gosh.
That's bold, too. I mean, it looks like a pretty big draw. I mean, who knows what it looks like under there, but
there's like tons of cheats where like
maybe it's not.
Like some photos are someone like hanging off and really they're only 3 foot off the ground of this ledge. But she probably did. I mean, like based off of the rest of her Instagram, she probably did climb all the way out to that end of the cliff. Like she's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like the lifestyle I want to live. And then I had to mention Suki Cat.
I laughed when you said this, so yeah.
Suki Cat is living, like, the life. Like, this, I think it's a girl, I don't know. But, God, this cat is so cool. Her owner is from Canada, and they just, like, go traveling, and they're always, like, walking their cat. Like, I wanted an adventure cat based off of Suki Cat.
Yeah, this one's awesome.
That's in Lake Louise. Oh, like...
That one's on my bucket list.
Lake Louise. I went when I was 15 on like a outdoor adventure camp for a month, and Lake Louise is still one of my favorite places I've ever been. So I really highly recommend it. It's glacier water and it's cold as balls. I've totally jumped in. But you're surrounded by the mountains and it's just so gorgeous.
Well, before we run out of time, where are some of the other places that maybe are on your bucket list to travel to or to take some pictures of?
Everywhere, but I really like planning trips like ahead of time. So right now I've planned a trip through Iceland. I want to do Ring Road around the whole island or country or whatever. Bora Bora. But one day when I have like 10 grand to spend on vacation, I will do it right and totally shell out for all of the really expensive stuff. And then Chile and in Patagonia. I want to go to Chile. And I really want to go to Albania. That's kind of like the most random one, but it's still considered like not as safe and it's not really touristy, but you look at some of the coastal beaches and they're so insanely gorgeous. So one day I will go there.
And what are your goals as far as, growing your passion here, or like what do you see for yourself in the next 5 years or so?
Who wouldn't want to be paid to go travel and stay at luxury hotels and share their experience? I don't like expect that to happen, but I do hope that I can grow, my following, and hopefully it's like organically where people really like what I have to say, So like right now I'm just doing it as a hobby, get my bills paid, take as many vacation opportunities as I can, or trips or whatever. And then we'll see. Like I just don't want to ever stop moving.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. It's like life goes so fast, and especially when I think for me working a full-time job, what is hard too is when you only have that limited amount of vacation, and then you can plan each year, but then it's like there's only so many you can hit in each year, and you're like, but no, there's so many amazing places to see, and so little time when you just are working with your vacation time. So
well, I have like quick little thing, like taking advantage of all the time you have. Like I went to Southeast Asia. We were in Tokyo briefly, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and Bali, all within like 8 days. Like it's possible. Yeah. You just have to really hustle. It was like I only had a week and I wanted to go everywhere. But we did it and it was amazing.
Yeah, it can happen. Well, that's great. Well, this has been so great. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. It was so nice to have you. Tell everybody again where they can find you at and follow your Instagram.
You can find me at Where I've Wandered, Instagram. I have a Twitter account, but I don't ever update it, so don't even worry about it. And on Facebook too, but I'm mostly active on Instagram. I love my stories.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us again this week. Please check out her stuff. Like I said, I'll make a list and post it on the Facebook page of all the Instagrammers that she had and the other places where these photos were. And you know what? I'll just put all the photos up there, so for those of you listening in and want to take a look at them, you can see them all up there. So thank you so much for joining us. You can follow the show at TomGirl TV, and we'll see you here again next week. Thank you. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.